Hello, Supernatural fans. Here is Matthew's 66 Impala. Matthew's car, who I've nicknamed this car Quigley because Matthew's name, Matthew Quigley. For those of you who do not follow movies and stuff, Tom Selleck's movie Down Under, Quigley Down Under, and one of my favorite westerns. And so I just kind of named this car Quigley. Now I'm sure Matthew will have a different name for her, but to me it's Quigley. The car, when it came in, Matthew had bought tons of parts, and in fact, some of them were stacked back up over there, the brakes and everything. And then, we kind of walked around the car, and we're like, hey, you know what, this car isn't too bad, and we ought to be, this ought to be a fairly easy build since we've had some really bad cars come in that needed a ton of body work. Looked pretty good until we pulled it in the shop, and we started disassembly. And that's when we started learning a lot of stuff about this car. First off, this quarter panel here has been replaced because it apparently got hit. And then they mudded. And guys, this bodywork there, that filler, that's like 1/8 of an inch thick. I mean, maybe 3/16. I don't know. I mean, that's thick stuff. Don was taking a air hammer, chisel, and he was just blowing this stuff up. You'll see it all over the floor and stuff. So we know we got major work back here. The trim came off the back glass, and she is completely rotted out all the way across. Now, Matthew, I'm going to be sending you an email. We think we have a solution for this. So there's that. Well, as we came up front, a little bit of filler there. It's kind of too thick, really. Your car... Let me tell you guys, everybody's like, when you hear of a Bondo bucket or whatever, that's when you start seeing this stuff, this big, thick stuff. That is way too much body filler. The car should be skimmed in body filler. Skimmed, not laid on where you can measure it with a ruler, The front door here, tons. Okay, so what happened here is this car's gotten hit. And they just body fillered this. It's thick. Let me see how thick that is. About as thick as it is back there. And this here is all flat. Okay? That's wrong. If you come back here and look at this back door and the other doors this way, these are raised where your door handles go. It's flat in here, but this is raised and this is raised. Over here, they've just filled it all, and so there's no raised area there. It's all just been bondoed. We really need to find another door for this. So, Matthew, I'll be talking to you about that. The front glass, actually, not too bad. There is one spot. Let me come back over here. So there was a spot here that we can actually look like the Grand Canyon there. I mean, I can stick my whole finger in there. So that will be fixed. We'll know more a little bit when the glass is out, but I think it's going to be fairly decent. So this side of the car, actually, you know what? Okay, see how this area right here, see how that's raised? That's what your other door is supposed to look like, and it doesn't. This side so far is looking pretty good. So that's a plus. But then when we get over here, I mean, you can see down in your trunk. That's how this thing needs trunk pans, floor pans. We checked it all out. I mean, there's just holes in it. And so there's that. The engine, Matthew has told me that we're going to pull everything out. And it's going to get done just like all of our 67s. The same way we do our 67s, it's going to be done to this car. Now, Matthew knows that this is not a 67 Impala. He cannot find a 67 Impala like so many of you guys out there, or girls. And so he's like, you know what? This will be fine. And you know what, guys? It will be. This is going to be a fun car. And even though it's not a 67, Matthew and his family is going to have loads of fun in this car. It's going to be black. It's going to have what I'm calling, it's going to be a tribute car to Dean Winchester. We're going to do the seats, the interior, everything just like Dean's car. The engine, the engine bay, the disc brakes, the tires, the wheels, the exhaust system, everything. Now, because the 66 had a different bodies line, you know, where it didn't have the Impala trim on it, we're hoping to take some Caprice trim and customize it along the car here. So that is one of our goals, to do that. It's yet to see if we can do it, because we don't know. We haven't tested everything out. We've just held some pieces up, but you know, it could be that the doors are wider on this one, and then obviously our trim wouldn't be long enough. So those are our goals to do that. I mean, like, I've got some pretty cool ideas. I'm going to kind of change some stuff that the 66 did, and I'm going to give it a little bit more of a custom look, but a custom look to mimic the 67. So, like I said, I've got a few little things that I'm going to do, and I think this car is really going to be a cool looking car when it's all said and done. Right now, it's got some ugly tires and wheels on it, and when it's sitting like this, it kind of looks like a grandma's car with some really horrible tires and wheels on it. And once we change this stance and put the big tires in the back and just give it, it's going to, trust me, it's going to really, really change the looks of this car. And you know what? Maybe Matthew's car will inspire somebody else to go, hey, I can't find a 67, but I can find a 66 and I want it to look like Matthew's. We don't know. I think it's going to really raise a lot of eyebrows. And I think it's just really going to be a really cool looking car when it's all said and done. It's going to take a little bit to get there, longer than what we had originally thought, but hey, that's the way it goes sometimes, guys. You know, you never know what you got until you tear into it, and then that's when it starts telling you all of its ugly secrets and stuff. So one things that we're going to do, we're going to move the antenna up to the front fender. I talked to Matthew about that, and it's a little something we're going to do. AC is going to work in this car and stuff. So, like I said, it's going to be a really cool car. But Matthew, I thought you might like to kind of see what we have been discovering on this car. So I'm going to be getting you an email over, and we're going to be talking about some things, like see if we can find a door. And you know, we're gonna have to find, believe it or not, the floor pans and the trunk pans and everything are the same as the 67. Who would have known? But I think 65 through 70 are the same, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be off on that, but pretty close to that. But so anyway, we know we can get the floor pans and the trunk pans. Also, if you're noticing here, like where all this silver is here on the car, that's the bare metal. And there was a body trim, a little thin body trim that went through here. So there's the holes. They've all been welded up. I say that because when we did Super Dave's car, I'm going to just say it, an idiot, a fucking idiot, put in his holes where the Caprice trim was, they JB welded it. And that had to be all drilled out and everything. The guy goes around telling people that he's this great body man and stuff, and he just did everything half-assed, did not do it the right way. So we get the car, and guess what? We get the pleasure of doing. So that happens a lot. There's a lot of people that, you know, they're like, hey, Rick, would you do this, 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 and this? Or I've already had this done. I mean, we'll do it. I'm not big fans of doing it because we'll say, yeah, this isn't done right, that's not done right. And who's the one that has to give them that bad news? It's going to be me. You've gotten taken somewhere else. You know, they told you they did this and they did it right and everything, and it's not. And I just don't like being put in those situations. And even though it's not my fault, but you know what? I'm friends with all my customers. Everybody that brings a car into this shop, I become friends with. And I just don't want to have to tell my friends that, oh yeah, well, Joe Blow, whoever worked on this car, screwed it up, you know, and the money you spent there or whatever lies they told you, you know, like I said, I don't like doing that. I'm not in the business to do that. I just want to get cars out on the road. And I don't care if they're 66s. I don't care if they're 67s. I don't care if it's a 69 Galaxy. I love old cars. I've said that many times. And that's why I do what I do, because I love cars. I've loved cars since, my God, probably before I could crawl. And like I said, I'm blessed enough to get to do this for a living now. But this shop here, obviously we can do restorations. We've got this underneath the tarp is the 72 El Camino. We've got a 69 the Galaxy back there being restored. Oh, and then over here is the, remember that green convertible in all my other videos? There it is in blue and stuff. And so, you know, we do other things. We specialize, and let me repeat that, we specialize in building TV cars and movie cars. You name the TV show, you name the movie, you want that car, you find that car, and you have it sitting here, I swear to you, it will look exactly like it did in the movie. That's what I'm good at. There's nobody, I'm going to put it out there, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything like that. There is nobody, and I repeat, fucking nobody better at that than me. I'm just telling you. Now, if you find the guy that built the original car, sure, he'll build you another one, and he'll do it exactly like he did it. But I'm saying if you take it to a shop and say, hey, I want a General Lee, or I want a Bullitt Mustang, I want the Supernatural Impala, I want the American Graffiti Coupe, whatever you're asking for, I swear to you, that other shop will not do it the way they do it in the movie or TV show. I'm anal. My wife says I'm OCD. Little things bother me if it's not. If I'm working on the car, if you build your car and you're like, I'm doing it this way. I don't care. You're the one building your car. But if it's in my shop, I strive for perfection. And I know sometimes perfection costs money. And sometimes people are like, well, I'd love to have that, but it's just not part of my budget. I understand that, guys. Trust me, I'm not putting anybody down for that. But there's not a car I can't build. So, you know, and like I said, this is going to be, this 66 here is going to be a custom job. And we get to kind of show off our talents, because this car, when it came in, you know, right now you're seeing it like it came in only without the welds and stuff on it. It was just all primered black, and primer black hides everything. So there was a reason for they painted it the primer black. But, yeah, I mean, I'll brag on this shop. And not only do I really don't have to brag that often. Talk to anybody that's had a car from in here, that's come in here and seen this shop. I mean, I'm not saying somebody can't match us. I'm just saying somebody isn't going to outdo us. And we work with what we have, and sometimes things happen, you know. I know Christine Preston, we did her car, and rust started coming up back in the hood. We'll use the 66 here as a demo, but the rust started coming back up in here. Well, on the 67 hood, it's double walled, kind of like that right there. And we can't get to underneath there. So when we did it, you know, everything was fine. But what happened is just that little bit of time she had the car, that rust worked its way through there. It'll work its way through on hoods, and the dog legs are going to be really bad on that. The lower fenders, you know, in those corners that we're always replacing and stuff, because the car traps moisture and stuff, and there's no way to get all of that rust out of there. Now, you can dip it. I don't have a tank to do that. I don't even know if Kansas City even has a place to do that, but we get it out the best we can. And even once, if you did get it out, how do you seal it? Unless you have a solution that you can dunk and submerge it in there. And we just don't have that ability. I think California has some places, but out there on the West Coast. But if Kansas City has something, it's going to be for a lot smaller pieces. But we will do everything we can to prevent that. It's just, guys, these are old cars. And like I said, we do everything that we possibly can do. But sometimes things are just going to happen. So Always remember that. And that's going to happen on my car. That's going to happen on your car. It doesn't matter if you take it to my shop or somebody else's shop. I had a friend, still a friend of mine, big 32 Ford guy, and I'm a big 32 Ford guy. And he always had steel cars. And one day I saw him, and then I said, "Hey, Hatch, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, not much, Rick." And basically, Hatch was driving a fiberglass car. And I said, "Hatch, you've got a fiberglass car?" And he said, "Let me tell you something, Rick." He said, "No matter what you do," he said, "you can keep these things in a climate-controlled garage." He said, "They're going to rust on you." And he said, "I got tired of always going back and fixing rust." And these cars were completely restored cars, and they were done right. Rust will always come. Know it, accept it, and you're going to be happy. So with that being said, this car here is going to be, I think it's going to be pretty damn cool. And I hope you guys follow the build, and I hope you like it when it's all said and done. So I'm gotta do another video on 2 more cars, and then I'll be talking to you guys some more here on those videos. And then on this one, we'll talk more probably next week. So, and I'll obviously get to talk to Matthew and go over our game plan and stuff. So until then, talk to you later. Bye.